Hello and you're very welcome to another GAA podcast. I'm John Wan. Of course, this podcast is brought to you by Kerry Office Supplies. Office Supplies business based in West Kerry. For more information, email them on info@kerryofficesupplies.com. It's a top class company, guys, so get your hands on the product. And today I'm joined by former Kerry footballer Shane Enright to talk about Kerry's 2022 All-Ireland season, obviously coming out on top, much to Shane's delight. A general review of the year and a bit of crack for the next while. Shane, how are you keeping?
I'm not too bad, John. Yourself?
All good, my man. All good. Sure, it's Friday. Can't complain. End of another week. But no football to look forward to. Well, obviously club football, but it's hard to beat the county. Yeah, but how's life up in the kingdom?
Oh, very good. Yeah. I suppose everyone's settled back in after Ireland win. Back to club football. So the club championships were on for the last 2 weeks, and now it's county championship starting this weekend. So fellas looking forward to that. It should be competitive.
Absolutely. And I suppose Kerry are the Kings once again. They obviously they reign supreme as the 2022 Football All-Ireland champions, and well deserved in the end. Obviously, it's a good while from the game now. It's September now, so obviously the game is back in July, so everyone's got the chance to soak it in, celebrate bits and pieces. But you're a happy man, no doubt.
Yeah, delighted for the lads. So I suppose in Kerry 8 years was a long time, and we were kind of knocking on the door for the last year or two after great leagues and just didn't quite get over the line in championship. So it's great to see them do it this year. I suppose throughout the year they were probably the best team and performed. I suppose really the last 15 minutes in the Ireland final really showed. Galway were strong up till 55-60 minutes and Kerry pulled away. You could see the work that they'd done. The conditioning was good. They had a good game plan. I suppose the big thing was that at no stage this year was anyone left 1-1 at the back. They kind of used Tyke Moore as a sweeper, saw that the game has gone that way. I suppose Kerry have good enough forwards that they could get enough scores to win games, even with keeping a man back at times. But it's great to see them get over the line. I'm delighted for some of the lads. Some of the lads have been there 5-6 years and hadn't an Ireland medal, so it's great to go over the line. I suppose no, that monkey's off the back. They'll be looking forward to next year again and hopefully going for 2 in a row.
Yeah, that's obviously a question I wanted to ask you. Obviously, we did see Paddy Tiley come in to the Kerry coaching backroom ticket this year, and God, he made a world of difference. I was watching his podcast. He done well off the ball there a couple of weeks ago, and he just looks like such a, I suppose, a knowledgeable man. He's been in and out of county setups, and he knows his stuff, to say the least, Shane. So he obviously made a huge difference this year.
Yeah, he did. It was a great coup for Jack, I suppose, to get him on board. So he knew that he was a very good defensive coach. And just from talking to a couple of lads I'm good buddies with, they said that he was brilliant, very easy to work with. Brought in, I suppose, a game plan that they kind of worked on, I suppose, throughout the league, and I suppose got it right in for the championship. And like, as a defender, Joe, if you've got a little bit of extra protection, okay, that's the way the game has gone. You never feel isolated at the back, and you could see that fellas were comfortable marking their man when they knew that there was some lads there if they were beaten to protect them. So it worked out well, and yeah, I'd say he's a great coach. He's done well wherever he's been. So it was brilliant to have him down in Kerry this year.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, Shane, you played your trade at cornerback for Kerry for many years. Like, I'm assuming you would have enjoyed being coached by him.
Yeah, definitely. I suppose he's similar to like Donny Buckley. I suppose, we kind of a defensive coach for us, and he was brilliant as well. So anything he did was really intense, and you got a lot out of it. I heard that Paddy was very, very similar. So I think the lads really bought into it and they benefited from it. You could see that defending was very good this year. I suppose the All-Stars were announced nominations a couple of days ago. You've all 6 Kerry backs nominated, Joe. That doesn't happen too often, and it's no coincidence.
Yeah, no, obviously it really did make a difference this year, and like the Kerry defence worked as such a good unit. And I suppose what impressed you most about this kind of Kerry, I suppose, year as a whole, Shane, like obviously he's got through Munster fine. He's the All Ireland series, good test against Dublin in the semi final, Mayo maybe not the quarter final, great test against Galway in the final. But like looking back, Shane, like what impressed you most about the Kerry's year?
I suppose the most impressive aspect was there was a lot of questions out there, in tight games in the final 5 or 10 minutes, could Kerry get over the line? And I suppose this year they showed they can. If you look at the last couple of minutes of the Dublin game, Dublin drew level, and I suppose massive kudos to Shane Ryan. Okay, he found a kick out there. Do you know what I mean? Other times we might have pumped it long, you could be beaten to a break, and suddenly Dublin would win that game. That was happening, I suppose, over the last few years where they were beating us by a point or two at the death. Okay, instead Kerry won the kick up, Breeden made a great run for it. Found Paul Murphy, who found a kick to David, who was fouled, and I suppose you want no better man, I suppose, than Shawnee to pop it over the bar or drive it over the bar from 55 yards. I was sitting in the Cusack stand and I looked at it and I said, Jesus, is this kickable? Joe, like I knew he had the range from maybe 55 was even farther maybe, but it was the breeze was slightly against him as well. And you're thinking, geez, should they go short? But I suppose it's a once-off kick and he nailed it. And Joe, again, I suppose in the final, with 10 minutes to go, maybe 15 minutes to go, if you include stoppage time, the game was in the middle part. There was only maybe a point in her, I think maybe level. And Kerry found a way to ground it out, finish the stronger. So that was the thing I was most impressed with this year.
Yeah, and obviously the kick against Dublin probably will go down in GAA folklore, and obviously there's a bit of debate about which kick was obviously tougher. You had Rian O'Neill's kick against Galway in the quarter final, you had Sean O'Shea's, but my personal choice, and more than likely your personal choice, probably would be Sean O'Shea's. Just think for the situation he was in, kicking into the hill, Dublin pipe not day, but what a kick, Shane.
Yeah, what a kick. I saw a debate about it. I suppose Rian was a great kick too, and a lot of people said with his kick, if he missed it, they were gone. Whereas Sean, I suppose, you were looking at probably extra time or replay, do you know what I mean? Whatever it was. But it was brilliant to nail it. Like, I suppose you're into the hill, into the Dublin crowd. You had the goalkeeper shaking the post. Okay, so you really had to keep his nerve. Okay, but it's a type of the Shawnees. I know him well. Cool guy, and just nailed it. And even if you saw him after the kick, he was telling fellas, calm down, get ready, go, for the kick out in case there was another play. Thankfully for Kerry, there wasn't. But yeah, no better man to get free like that in the last minute.
Yeah, just a remarkable kick and probably summed up Kerry's year. And I suppose, like, what is with Sean O'Shea, Shane, like, obviously you played with him for a few years. Like, is it just his application all the time, or like what makes him so special?
Yeah, look, he's a brilliant footballer, but the work he puts in, I suppose, on and off the field is massive. So I think a lot of people talked about, I think, between school and college, he took kind of a year that he was out and he was on the field kicking balls inside in the gym, okay, and he really got strong. So I suppose Dublin came in a football pitch, he's probably kicked that ball 50 times, but it's a lot different when you're in front of 80,000 people in Croke Park and the Dublin fans as well. So look, I suppose he had the nerve to do it, which was brilliant. And like I said, he's that kind of character.
Absolutely. I suppose Kerry's journey, unbeaten in the league, the great kind of start to the season, and obviously a good league normally kind of propels you on for a good championship, Shane. So obviously kind of building momentum in the league, obviously having really good performances and then applying yourself, during the Munster Championship. So that's what it's all about. Like a good league campaign normally, ends up a good championship.
Yeah, exactly. But like I said, I suppose the last couple of years we won the league or shared with Dublin one year, but didn't get over the line in championship. The one blip this year in the league was down against Tyrone, down in Killarney. But after that, I suppose it was kind of plain sailing. Had a great league final. Do you know what I mean? I probably didn't turn up on the day, but like you say, I suppose the last few years that Jack O'Connor has come in his first year, they've won the league and championship, and it just shows you're going the right direction and you're ready for the championship. So it worked out well in the end, yeah.
Obviously, Jack O'Connor coming back in to manage the Kerry seniors as well, Shane. We talk about Paddy Talley coming into the shirt to defence, but Jack O'Connor, no better man to come in, inspire the players. He done the needful once again. He brought Sam home.
Yeah, exactly. At the first time of asking, Joe, people questioned probably when he came in at the start. Okay, there was some other good candidates there as well, but he's been there and done it. He has the experience, and he's kind of, I suppose, he showed that he moved with the times. He got the right fellas in on board with him who got the experience, I suppose, of playing today's game, if I'm saying it like that. But yeah, look, I played him in 2011 and 12, and Joe, he's good to talk to players as well. Has a good mindset, and Joe, I suppose, throughout the league, he probably had him relaxed, and Joe wasn't too. Joe, I suppose, they weren't working too hard. Okay, and I suppose the big thing, I suppose, is peaking at the right time. Maybe at other times, in different campaigns, we might have peaked too early, and then when it came to an Ireland semi-final or final, didn't quite perform. Whereas this year they were always kind of an upward curve. Okay, and you probably got your best performances towards the end of the championship, which was the big thing. Okay, and it's, I suppose, a thing that your SEC coach are working on. There's a lot of science going into nowadays, trying to get your load right and get everything working towards, I suppose, maxing out in championship, which was big.
Yeah, no, definitely look like it. I suppose that kind of like draws me out to my next question. Obviously, we see so many kind of managerial jobs going on at the minute, and lads maybe not being able to commit, lads leaving kind of county panels. Like when you were involved, maybe in 2014 for that All Ireland win, like, and obviously looking on at Mr. Fitzmaurice, like leading us, like how much work goes into getting like any team over the line to win an All Ireland?
Yeah, it's huge. I suppose the people on the outside, they see the games and that's about it. But if you ask anyone, like ask any manager there, like it's 7 days a week, 24 hours. You're always thinking about something. What can make you better? What can you work on? getting ready for next training, whether it's doing a video session, doing weekends away, anything like that. And I suppose Jack Connor touched on that this year, that he was saying that it was a lot easier for him now that he's retired, because when you're working, I suppose you can't probably put as much into it as if you weren't. Okay, so he felt he had more free time, and that's why he thought that, I suppose, he was able to put everything into this year, and I suppose it paid off in the end.
Yeah, no, it really did look
But I
like
suppose
that.
it's no different for a player either. Do you know what I mean? I suppose,
Yeah.
like, a lot of people don't see the time that goes into it. You see the games, but like, the fellas are so dedicated, and that's why it's like to see the lads get over the line. Nobody sees the work that's put in, getting up at maybe 6:30 in the morning, getting to the gym, the eating they do, dieting, sleeping right. So it's gone very professional now. It's changed, I suppose, over the last few years. But it's great when you get the rewards for that.
Yeah, I suppose obviously looking back on the game, Shane, the final against Galway, like it was a remarkable game of football. It was like gladiators, the likes of David Clifford and Shane Walsh going up against each other, and obviously you were there, you seen it live, looking on the TV. It just looked absolutely incredible. I suppose, what was the game like itself?
Yeah, brilliant game. Good atmosphere up there. Like you said, I suppose they had a few players who really maxed out. Shane Walsh had a brilliant final. David Clifford kind of kept Kerry in the first half, won a couple of great marks, got a few great scores. Kerry probably weren't at their best in the first half, but really showed in the last 20 minutes. But it was a great game of football. Like, Galway really played their potential, which was massive for them. And they'll only improve as well. It's their first final in a long time. Whereas Kerry, I suppose, had been there a few times. And I think that really stood to Kerry. Okay, the 2019 final, probably should have won the first day. We're beaten after a replay. But you learn from that. Okay, when you don't win, you learn. So the old saying. And they really did learn. I suppose a lot of the fellas, bar one or two, had played in that final, had that experience where Galway hadn't, and that's probably what got them over the line in the end.
Yeah, and obviously a remarkable performance by, I suppose, the man-child, for want of a better phrase, David Clifford, and obviously Paddy, the great final as well, Shane. But like, obviously you said that we were talking around this time last year about like the application David put in even during lockdown, runs, everything. Like, what more can you say about the man?
Yeah, no, look, he's phenomenal. From an early age, I suppose he was earmarked to be a top player, and I suppose it's come to fruition now. Joe Down and Kerry, you saw him playing All-Ireland finals with the college and at minor level, and what he was scoring. I suppose, look, he's got everything. You know, he can field high. For a big man, he's unbelievable feet, unbelievable skill, dummy solos, can kick from range off both feet. You know, I suppose, as a defender, how do you mark that? You know, it's hard to mark it. He's a once in a generation kind of player again. I suppose Kerry make the best of him now, because yeah, he's brilliant.
Like, I have to ask you about some of them points as well. Like, he, I think, was from the right hand side flank and just along the sideline, and he just nonchalantly just kicks the ball over the bar. He really does look like, obviously you know more than me, but he looks like a lad that just thrives in pressure, excels in pressure, and it was just a remarkable performance.
Yeah, exactly. I suppose you were talking about the free down the sideline. Yeah, it was effortless. It was a tougher kick than it looked. But he does, I suppose. But it comes so naturally to him. I played a bit of golf with Dave. We used to play with a match play doubles. We were playing again this year. And I'd be there to him. He'd miss a 4-foot putt, and I'd say, "Jesus, Han, you can kick points above and putt back." Yeah, but the golf is a lot tougher. I'm not as good at that. Yeah, he's just so good. It comes so naturally. He makes it look so easy, and he makes it look like there's no pressure on him because he finds it so easy, I suppose. Do you know what I mean?
No, he's a remarkable man, and obviously you are hoping that he's just kind of wrapped up in cotton wool. And I suppose, yeah, no, it really was a fantastic game. And like at any stage of you kind of thinking, right, you know, Galway could definitely go and win this game. I think it was like maybe the last 5-10 minutes, Kerry really did get a grip of it, but by God, it was tight.
Yeah, too tight. So I was getting nervous, like you said, 10-15 minutes to go, and it was still live. You were saying a couple of points either way, or a referee's decision could turn the game in one team's favour. Joe, I suppose you didn't know if Kerry were going to finish as strong as they did, and thankfully they did. But yeah, it was looking, I suppose, like I said, Galway really did perform in the final. Maybe faded slightly in the last 10 minutes, but Kerry took control of it, and it showed good character. You know, when the game was there to be won, when it was in the melting pot, who could get over the line, and thankfully Kerry did.
Comparing to other seasons as well, Shane, I suppose the likes of 2019, as you were saying a couple of minutes ago, 2021 and 2020, like, you know, what maybe changes from this Kerry team have you seen, like watching on and being to at a couple of games close eye, what major changes kind of came into place, do you
reckon? Like I was saying, I think just the way they played, they really shored up the back. You know, if you look at maybe the 19 final, it was an open game of football and you were caught at times. Whereas I think going into the Dublin game and the Galway game, I think they knew that they probably had the better set of forwards. So if they could keep it tight at the back, they get enough scores to win the game. And that's really what they saw in this year. Like, if you look at it, they played probably a couple of working half forwards who maybe be able to get a small bit deeper, and then they could drop Tyke Morley off in front of the full back line. I know myself as a full back line player for years, what you don't want in Croke Park is 40 yard space in front of you and the ball popped in, because it's very hard to mark that. No matter how good you are. Whereas Ty was cutting off that ball. Do you know what I mean? He did it brilliantly in the final, even for like Damien Comer was brilliant in the semi-final for Galway. Okay, he didn't get a sniff off Jason Foley in the final, but Ty also helped him there because he was dropping in front. There was no easy ball to put in, and that's really where I suppose that kind of set the tone for the year then. And they worked the ball, they transitioned well out of the fence. That's what they're working on, I suppose. When they turned it over, getting forward quick, hitting the boys. I suppose a big plan going into the final was, you could see it in the first half, was pump the ball in on top of David's head or Paul Gaines' head in the full forward line, because Galway struggled with that earlier on in the quarter final. There's a couple of soft goals off, and you can see that it worked on that, and it paid dividends because David caught a couple of big ones when they needed them, and easy scores to pop them over the bar. So they had their work done, but it's something they were working all year, that game plan, which really did kind of set them aside this year compared to other years.
I suppose it's probably an easy thing for a lot of people to say, and as you rightly said, no one knows the amount of work that goes into these things. But like, a lot of people are just going to say, like, if Kerry can shore up the defence, which they rightly did, they brought in Paddy Tally, you know, it was fairly clear to be seen. So was it just little links like that, you know, that kind of, as you rightly were saying a couple of seconds ago, the really changes? But like, can it be as easy as that, or as hard as that?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, but I suppose small things make a massive difference. As we used to always say, it's your 1%ers. But like, if everyone's 1% better, the whole team is 15% better. But if you're all doing small things slightly better, it really improves the team. And just getting that shape in place and working on that, and like, it's grand saying that they changed the defence and that, you know, work better. But like, how much work went into that? I bet at the start of the year, probably you were doing that for half an hour in every training session to make sure that platform was right. So later on, the championship, you wouldn't be found out. You know, so it might look like small things, but it takes a lot of work to get them small things right and make sure they work on the big day.
And obviously, like, as talking to you last year, we know how hungry Kerry can be for, like, or are for All Ireland change. So what does it, like, even mean to you, like everyone involved in Kerry football, to get back to the Holy Grail? You know, I suppose the next question probably will be, like, what's the seal for this Kerry team? But what's it mean up there, you know, to get your hands back on that All Ireland title?
Yeah, it's massive. You know, to see the buzz that was around the county in the couple of weeks after, and even leading in now to your county championship. Everyone's excited to see the county players, to see their heroes out in the pitch again. But yeah, there's a serious buzz around the place. Down in Kerry, it's all about All Irelands. If you're not winning All Irelands, then you're not going well. As for the ceiling for this team, Joe, I think there's a massive few years ahead. Like, if you look at the age profile of the team, it's very, very young. Like the likes of your big name players, or Shawnee Shays or David Clifford, are 23 and 4. So, you know, they're still very, very young, kind of years ahead of them. Like, even, I suppose a lot of it's coming from the 5 minor teams in a row. They've kind of all come through now. The first team that won in 2014, that age group will be 26 now. So they're kind of coming into their prime. So over the next 2 or 3 years, you really see the best of them. So think about, you have another 5 years, 4 years younger than that again. So everyone's kind of between 26 and 22, really, a lot of them. Okay, you're probably David Moore and Stephen O'Brien, Paul Murphy, Paul Gainey are probably the only really lads that are over 30. After that, it's a young team. So, you know, the sky's the limit. Don't think the boys touching it afterwards, okay, saying this is only the start. And I think it really is. I said it last year too, I think that if Kerry get one, they could get a few. So, I mean, it's just getting that monkey off the back. Next year, the pressure will be off a bit now, Joe, I suppose. There's nothing worse than being, Joe, if you're there a few years, look at the likes of Tyke Moore and these fellas who are there probably 7, 8 years, 6, 7 years anyway, who had an Iron medal and are 28, 29. Do you know, you're kind of thinking, will I get one? You've got your medal, and they can just go out and perform now, and I think it really will. I suppose they'll have to build on it again, but I think they'll set the standard now for the next few years, and they could be hard to beat.
And I suppose like it's probably premature at the minute, because we, like, maybe as me and you were saying off air, like the likes of, like, a lot of teams kind of come back into the pack now, and obviously you have your Tyrones, your Dublins, your Mayos and Galways and all these teams, Shane. So, like, do you find them talk a bit premature to do back-to-back 3 in a row, 4 in a row? Because, like, you know, probably is beginning finally after all these years. to be a competitive championship?
Yeah, definitely. They won't be talking about it in Kerry. Well, the Kerry supporters might, but they won't, they won't be getting ahead of themselves. What they'll do is they'll look alone again, maybe try and bet a few players in the league and see what they have, and then set their sights in championship. But they'll be taking it one game at a time. They won't be thinking about All-Ireland finals or anything straight away. There is, like, Dublin will probably get stronger again. If Conor Callan had played in the semi-final with Kerry beating them, it's hard to know. He would have made a massive difference, and they were coming strong at the end. They're not gone away. They'll always have massive talent coming through. Mayo, I suppose, new management team with Kevin Stay coming in. We'll see what they provide. Galway looks strong. They will far in the final. They'll probably drive it on from that again. Do you know what I mean? I suppose there's pressure on them coming to the final because it was their first one. There's probably more pressure on Kerry because they had to win one. Yeah. But Galway will probably be better again next year because they'll be used to that final, gain from experience. You've got your Tyrones, you've got your Armaghs are coming. So there's going to be a lot of teams there. Okay, they'll think, we've got a chance to win this All-Ireland. So it'll be interesting again. Yeah, so looking forward to it.
Probably a rhetorical question as well, Shane, but who'd be your kind of Kerry standard players of the year? It writes its own answer. But is there any other standout players for you, bar Mr. Clifford?
There is, I suppose. Look, I suppose the pivotal positions in the backs. You've got centre back Ty Moore did a great year, and full back Jason Foley, another not Kerry man, really performed this year. I knew he had that potential in him, but it was getting a full year and getting consistency, and he was brilliant this year. He nullified Comer in the final. He had a great game. He had a lot of great games throughout the league and championship, and he was building up to that. A lot of people don't realise the pace he has. Really, every time you see him, he can get a hand in here and there. Like, you see the pace that likes of Gav White and Tom Sullivan have, but Jason Boy is probably the fastest man in Kerry's training, but you probably don't see it as much because he's playing full back line. I think Jack Barry stood up this year. He probably did his best year in Kerry jersey. He did well. Shawnee obviously joined the pressure situations. So there's a lot of good performances. But yeah, and like I said, a lot of these fellas are only going to get better. So it's great to see.
I suppose the year as a whole, Shane, like, are you impressed maybe with the standard of the football at the minute? Because we do see the likes of, as you rightly said, likes of Galway, Tyrone. Tyrone probably have a bit of work to do to get back up to the levels like Dublin, Derry, Armagh. Like, it is great to see a competitive championship once again.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, there's probably 5, 6, 7 teams at the start of the year which we think we've got a chance to win the All-Ireland this year. Whereas maybe other years, I suppose, when Dublin were so strong, there was probably only 2 or 3 teams that might beat them. Whereas now they'll all be saying, do you know what, if we can get ourselves right, like you said, like Derry and Armagh, these teams who've come up and they've really progressed and improved, if they can keep that progression level going, they'll think, yeah, we've got a chance to win All-Ireland. So yeah, it makes for a more open championship and I suppose more exciting, and like, it's great that teams will buy in and say, yeah, do you know what, we can actually do something here and we can, I suppose, create our own legacy and win All-Ireland.
I suppose the quality of the games as well, Shane, because obviously you would have been keeping a good eye on all the championship games. I suppose, like everyone really, like, I suppose, what would be maybe your opinion on some of, like, I know obviously Ulster final looked the most competitive games, but obviously you ran away with Munster, obviously Dublin and Leinster, and Galway won the Connacht. But I suppose what's I suppose the opinions on some of them kind of provincials, or where do you think the provincials are at?
Yeah, I suppose the competition down in the likes of Leinster and Munster, I suppose, isn't great at the moment. We often talked about it. The same probably Leinster with Dublin, that they're probably not getting the test before you come into an Ireland quarter final, and like you come in and meet someone who's tested above in the north, and it's a bit tougher. It's hard to know where to go with it though. Like, I suppose the players like the provincial championships. Like, whereas if you're up in Ulster, you're going to have a very competitive championship. If you come through it, you're battle hardened. Connacht, I suppose you've got Roscommon, Galway, Mayo. You've probably always got the big 3. Whereas down in Munster at the moment, I suppose Cork are performing poorly, and they've gone back a bit. So Kerry are the standout team, in the same with Dublin and Leinster. So is there something to be done? I'm not so sure. It's a hard one really to work out. You just go to an open championship or you pick out groups or whatever it is. I don't know. It's, I suppose, for the GAA to decide. But there definitely is, I suppose, there's a big gap there in some provinces where it's not as competitive as it probably should be.
Your thoughts, obviously, on the Ulster final this year? You had Derry and Donegal going toe to toe, and a lot of people were just kind of saying like it was a troll game, was negative, was this, and so my kind of thoughts on it is like I'd rather that game than like the Munster final this year or the Leinster final. It was intriguing, you didn't know who was going to win, so I suppose it probably got a lot of unfair slack.
Yeah, it probably did. Like, I suppose any game that's close, even though it was very defensive, is still going to be exciting because you're not sure what's going to happen or whatever. Whereas, like you say, in a Munster final where one team is hammering the other, like there's probably no good in it, and the enjoyment is gone after 40 minutes because the game is pretty much over. So I suppose we all want an open game of football where there's loads of scores and it's still tight and we're getting that excitement, but that doesn't always happen. But look at the way the game has gone. A lot of teams are getting a lot of men behind the ball, and it doesn't make, I suppose, for the most attractive football at times, but at least the games are close and it can be still exciting that way, and the games are tense and there's good finishes to them.
We talked off air, obviously, about Conor McKenna going back to Australia now, and obviously Tyrone did win the All-Ireland last year, and like a lot of men have left the panel. Like, you know, what you feel maybe's gone on there? Obviously, I know they got over the line against Hughes in the close semi-final last year, and Hughes very close that day too, so maybe it goes to show. But you know, what you feel maybe went wrong there?
I don't know. It's a funny one. It's hard to know what's going on behind the scenes up there because there must be something going on. Like it's not like the fellas leaving were 33 and 4 years old or 32 years old, whatever it was. So these fellas are some of them 29, 30 in their prime, and they're after winning Ireland. I know down in Kerry wouldn't be happening because they'd be striving for better. They'd be striving for another Ireland the following year. So I can't see how fellas, 6, 7, 8 fellas left the panel that were after being successful. Joe really weakened you straight away, and your chances of actually winning another Ireland are kind of gone straight away. Okay, they'll have to build again because they've lost a lot of talent and a lot of experience. So something must be going up there. I don't know. Was there a row or whatever it was? But something must have gone on. It's hard to know. But fellas just don't up and leave like that. In most companies anyway, from my experience.
Yeah, it'll just be interesting to see what they do next year, and the likes of Dublin there as well. Shane, obviously a lot of people are saying like prematurely, obviously when Mayo bet them last year that they were finished, and then they came back fairly rip-roaring again this year, and the players look like they were can really believe in Desi Farrell's project this year. And so it's go talk is the Conor Callan, if he was there for the semi-final, Dublin might have got over the line. So it's games of small margins.
Yeah, definitely. Like you say, they finished strong against Kerry, and you know, after a poor league, they really picked it up and turned it around, and they're capable of doing that. They had a couple of young players who performed well, and they'll probably get another couple in next year. So, like I said, they'll be thereabouts again. They're definitely gone away. There's massive talent up there, so they'll always be dangerous.
Yeah, they'll be close once again. And you feel the games obviously in a good kind of place at the minute. We did see like the total kind of cup coming in to fruition this year, and obviously Westmeath, the inaugural winners of the chain. So it gives the weaker teams chances, and then obviously we'll see a new structure in 2023 once again. So I suppose if there's anything you'd like to bring into the game or the GAA, if you'd like to bring in something, what would it be?
No, like I said, the new competition was great. So it was great to see Westmeath and the celebrations they had after. You know, like that's not something you normally see with, you know, a Division 3 team, okay, because they're not winning anything. Like, it's hard, I suppose, to motivate players if they think they don't have a chance of winning a competition. Whereas this way, every team thinks, you know, we could actually win that competition. You could see what it meant to them, which is great, and it means players buy in. As of changing it, I'm not sure exactly. A lot of people are kind of giving out about the mark has slow up the game. So as a defender, I suppose it's tough to play against because you mark a man from the front, you can cut him behind. If you stand behind a fella, he's winning the ball into his chest. Very hard to mark that. Could you take that back out of the game? Or like, I think the best one is maybe the mark should only be a catch over your head. The one into the chest shouldn't be a mark because it's simply catching the ball into your chest, which you should be doing anyway. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? David Clifford got a couple of great ones in the All-Ireland final. Like that maybe deserves your mark where you've got a free at it because you're catching the ball over your head. But the ones into your chest and that kind of stuff, maybe they could get rid of that. Other than that, you know, it's like I see a lot of people talking about and Joe Bally coming out about changing the rules and maybe 2 hand passes and a kick, this kind of stuff. Very hard to monitor it. And you know, like about cutting out the cynical play, we've done so that with the black card, but again, it's still hard to ref it. I think sometimes you've got too many changes to the game, and it nearly sets the game backwards again. So, you know, I think like they're on about as well. Maybe the minute you cross the halfway line, that you can't go backwards, this kind of stuff. Then you're going to go towards basketball. Do you know what I mean? What's to stop teams getting behind the ball again then and, you know, making it hard to score and just really slows down the game. They're going over and back. And I don't know, I think maybe not change the games too much, but maybe 1 or 2 different rules would probably do it.
I have to say, obviously, the final was a very interesting game. It was free flow and it was attack, like, and a lot of people are thinking it's going to be like a nervy game and both teams could have been edgy. But like the way the game kind of played, like that's what we want to see. That's Gaelic football, Shane. Like the scores, Shane Walsh and David Clifford kicking over the bar. You know, that's what we pay money to watch.
Yeah, exactly. Some of the scores are brilliant. Joe, if I suppose Shane Walsh, at times, criticism, but he can be hit and miss. Do you know what I mean? He could have one great game and one, but geez, he really opened up the final, and some of the scores he got were absolutely brilliant. The one there when he cut in off the wing, cut between two fellas and popped it over the bar. He made it look so easy, and similar to David, popped some great scores. And there was the game. I think it was great to see. It was a close game. If every game could be like that, football would be brilliant to watch. But I suppose different teams play different ways, and not every game is going to be as open as that. But it was a great game of football to watch, and it was exciting. It was close, and even for the neutral, it was a great spectacle for an Ireland final.
No, super stuff. And just get your thoughts briefly on the managerial merry-go-round at the minute. And obviously, lots going on at the minute. You've Colin O'Rourke gone in with Mead, Eamon Callaghan gone in with Carlo as a backroom coach, Kevin McStay Mayo, Paddy Christie Longford, Liam Cairns Offaly, Andy McAtee Antrim, Billy Lee has obviously left Limerick lads, Jack Cooney gone from Westmeath, and Monaghan and Donegal are obviously still looking for managers. And I suppose, what was your thoughts on the likes of Colin O'Rourke finally getting the Mead job?
Yeah, it's great to see. I suppose he's got a lot of good experience. He's was a brilliant footballer, and it'll be interesting to see what he can bring to Meath football. Can he bring them on to that next level as well? Get them competitive at All Ireland series level. But he will add something different, I suppose. He's got a great knowledge of the game, and it's great when people like that come on board. The same with Kevin McStay with Mayo. What can he bring to them? Can he add that extra dimension up front and make them, I suppose, a bit more opposing going forward, a bit better going forward, because that's probably been their Achilles heel, I suppose, the last couple of years. They're very, very strong at the back. Can he find that one or two players that will actually make them that little bit better, that maybe might get them over the line? But it's great to see men like that get involved, because a lot of people kind of criticise and say, they're great to give out this and that on the Sunday game, whatever it is, and say, do you know what, go and do the job yourself then and see can you do it. So it'll be interesting to see what they bring to the table now. So yeah, it's great to see.
Yeah, and of course, Oisin McConville's got the Wicklow job as of last Friday. And obviously, Kevin McStay getting the Mayo job, Shane, as you were saying a couple of minutes ago, with the backroom team. He obviously is Stephen Rochford gone in with him, and Liam McHale. So it really does feel like one last chance to with a lot of these players, I suppose, to that management team.
Yeah, definitely. And I suppose, they were missing a couple of key forwards this year, which didn't help them either. They'll have them back next year, and it'll make them better going forward. But like you said, there's massive experience in that management team, and it'll be interesting to see what they bring to the table. Can they drive it on to that next level? And like you say, can they get over the line? The likes of your Aidan O'Shea's and your Killian O'Connor's, it's probably one or two more cracks at it, and if not, it's probably time to move on. So they'll be mad for road and mad to try and see what they can do next year.
I suppose, Shane, obviously the way maybe things are going at the minute, but are you surprised with the likes of Monaghan and Donegal not having managers as of yet? Obviously, there was a big talk with Jason Sherlock, Ger Brennan from Monaghan, Donegal, Rory Kavanagh, and Malachy O'Rourke. Still nothing over the line, Shane. So I wouldn't say worrying times for both counties, but you want to get something sorted soon.
Yeah, you want to get something started soon, but I suppose, look, the one thing I suppose with All Ireland finishing earlier this year in the split season, we're still only in the early September, so like I suppose there's club stuff going on at the moment and that kind of stuff. No, I suppose it would be good to have management teams in place to be actually monitoring what's going on with clubs and county championships and stuff like that, to picking out players and see how they're getting on. But I suppose inter-county teams won't be going back till December, but that is the one worry, that if a management team is put in place in November and the club season's over, have they seen what's going on at club level, and can they pick out upcoming talent and who perform well? If you look at the Kerry County Championship last year, Austin Stacks won it, and there was a couple of Dylan Casey got a bit of league time, Jack O'Shea was in the All-Ireland panel, and they would have been kind of not unknowns, but people wouldn't have known too much about them before that, and they played very well in County Championship, got their chance. They were only young fellas, 22, 23, they'll be players for the future. But if the management team wasn't in place, if there wasn't people going to games, would they have been spotted? So that's probably the worry up there, right? But I'm sure they'll get management teams in place soon enough.
Absolutely, Shane. Absolutely. I suppose, currently for yourself, are you enjoying playing your bit of club football for Tarbert?
Yeah, I am indeed. Look, it's great to be back with the club. I suppose the last couple of years, maybe with COVID and stuff, we weren't playing as many games. Or this year we had a full season, which was great. So played in the County League. We've got one game left to get promoted, and we're playing the junior championship down here. Now down here we've a junior premier and a junior, so we're the lower one junior, but it's still a good level. We won our quarter final after extra time against Renard last week, so they'd be a Division 3 County League team, so it wouldn't be too bad. We've got Fireys on the opposite side of the draw who are Division 2 County League team next year. So it'll be a good standard of football. So yeah, enjoying that and enjoying putting in my time with the club. I suppose when you're playing into county, you don't get to put as much back into the club as you did before. So it's great to be back now, and I suppose be playing with lads I grew up with. So enjoying that, yeah.
I suppose also we did talk briefly, and obviously, when me and you were talking, I suppose the game training and everything was back, but I suppose this really was the full year's crack of it. So I suppose the commitment and the enjoyment levels are still high for yourself.
Yeah, definitely. Like last year, our county league was it 5 or 6 games, so it was a half a county league, and then your top in each group went up or whatever it was. Whereas this year we had our full set of games, our 11 games. You had your club championship, we'll have North Kerry championship there in the year. So yeah, no, I'm after moving house, so it's about an hour drive out to Tarbert, so it's probably not easy at times. New baby and the whole lot. But no, enjoying getting out and getting training done, doing a bit myself and trying to keep fit. So it's great to have that side of things. And so I suppose when you're playing at an inter-county level, so much goes into it, and it's so professional, and you're getting everything right. Whereas you can enjoy it a bit more with the club. Okay, it's probably not as serious, especially at the level we're playing at. Whereas I suppose the club's senior teams now have gone very serious as well. But yeah, so I'm getting out, I'm meeting the lads, having a bit of crack, and we have a few pints after games. I'm enjoying that too.
Good stuff, Shane. That's what it's all about. It's enjoying football, enjoying life, and it's great to hear, Shane. Shane Enright, thanks a million for joining me this week. And of course, this podcast is brought to you by Kerry Office Supplies business based in West Kerry. For more information, email the guys on info@kerryoffsupplies.com. Mr. Enright, have a great weekend. Thanks very much.
Thanks for being John yourself. Cheers.